Hello everyone, SimbunnyYT here and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing something new. I'm going to show you how you can edit your Sims pictures and create a spooky kind of edit. But I do want to put out a disclaimer before I start this video. I am not a professional. There might be some ways to do things easier than I do in this video, but I'm just going to be showing you how I edit my pictures and how I like to do it. There may be shortcuts, I don't know, we learn things every single day, we learn something new, so I hope I can teach you some tips and tricks, some like little shortcuts that I've learned throughout the years. I have been using Photoshop for about like 8 years on and off, so I will show you what I know and I hope that I can teach you guys something new. So I will include a list of the CC that I got to make this spooky Annabelle create a sim doll. And without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. Alright, first thing you want to do is hit the W key on your keyboard so you can select the magic wand tool. And you're going to want to layer from background, like make a separate layer from the background and delete the background. That way when you press delete on your keyboard, it will remove the background and it will be completely transparent. After that, we're going to deselect so you can get those things away. And now comes the annoying part, which is removing the green screen from the hair. I actually found a way to do this an easier way, but I just found that out a couple days ago. Like I said, every day I learn something new. So I will show you guys that way maybe in upcoming how-to videos if I make them. But right now all I'm doing is I'm using the magic wand tool to select the green and deleting it by using the delete button on my keyboard. And you're going to keep wanting to do that for every piece of green that you find. I go around the whole image. I'm going to speed it up for you guys, but you really want to take your time. If you make a mistake, you know, Ctrl-Z, Control-Z. But another shortcut is if you press the E key, that will bring up your eraser, so you can erase. Like I said, I found an easier way to do this, but unfortunately when I filmed this, it was a while ago, and I didn't know how to do it at this point, so yeah. Another method that I really like to use is the stamp tool, which you can get it by pressing the S on your keyboard, and make sure you hold Alt and select a part of whatever you want, and then you click and it will like clone. It's like a clone tool. It will hide anything like that you don't want to show in your picture. It will hide it and create a clone of the exact thing. So that's what I do. I took like little sections of the hair to hide the green screen. And now I will show you tools that I use a lot. These tools are the dodge and burn. Make sure that you have protect tone checked, and you can adjust the exposure or like the opacity as much as you want. You can make your brush bigger and smaller by using the bracket keys on your keyboard. And what I like to do is I use the burn tool to add shadows to my sims, to add like dimension shadows, and I use the dodge tool to bring out the highlights. So as you can see, my sim already has like some highlights on from cast, like makeup and stuff, and you can bring them out even more. So I'm just going over the face paint to add more dimension. I want the cracks to look really cool, and I want them to be noticeable from afar because it's not a close-up shot, so I have to make them noticeable. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to keep going in on the areas that I feel need more dimension. I also like to consider this step like a contour, like makeup. You know, you go on the bridge of the nose to like really bring out the features, and I'm also going around the little eye button thing. I want it to look like it's really sunken in and not just like a sticker on top of the face. So as you can see, I'm trying to make the eyes look more sunken in and bring out the nose. And using the same tool, I'm going to bring out the jaw and add more definition to the jaw and add shadow under the neck. So you know, it just gives the sim a more realistic look. And I'll also add shadows to the hair near the neck. Just think of it as you would like a real picture, you know, just think about where the shadows hit, where the highlights hit, and it will make it a lot easier for you. So yeah, I'll just keep doing that now. Also on the forehead, like I said, it's like makeup, like applying contour or bronzer. That's how I think of it. And I use this not just like for, you can use these for a lot of things. Like I always do that for my Sims, for my profile shots of my Sims, or for my thumbnail edits. I always focus on doing these sort of things to help bring out the features. And now I am also adding shadows on the hair, and I will also use the dodge tool to highlight the areas that are shiny, so it will like give the hair shine and make it more realistic looking. As you can see, you can select the dodge tool by right clicking. Again, press O on your keyboard to bring up this tool, and you can right click to select either dodge or burn. And they are like, I love these tools, especially the dodge tool. It just brings out the eyes so much. My Sim is wearing those scary Halloween contacts, so I'm not really going to touch them very much. So another really important tool is the blur tool, and I use this personally. I think it looks good when you blur out the edges of your Sim. And the reason why I do that is I feel like it blends in more when you add a background, because we will be adding a spooky room background to this picture. And if you just like stick the Sim on top of the background, it's gonna look weird, it's gonna stand out, it's not gonna blend in. Even when you add a filter, it doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't look good in my opinion. So what I like to do is I like to blur out the edges, but very carefully, and making sure that my brush is like the softest brush, and the strength, I don't want the strength to be too high, but just, like, be careful, don't make it super obvious, but if you do it right, you will be blending the edges in like a really nice way, and when you lay it on the background, it's gonna fit so much more. And like I said, the blur tool is something I use on mostly every single edit. If I'm like sticking the Sim on a different background, I'm always using the blur tool. So you don't have to just do it for this tutorial, you can apply it on other things as well. And here I'm going back in and adding shadows to the legs using the burn tool, and adding shadows to the dress. Alright, now we're going to place our Sim on the new background. So you're going to hit File and Place, and that is how you're going to place your Sim on this background. Be sure to select a really good high quality background, so that way you don't lose quality in your Sim and it doesn't bring down the resolution. Also, be sure to keep pressing and holding down Shift while you're messing around with the positioning, otherwise it will warp your Sim. And now we're going to crop the picture. This is optional if you want to upload your picture to Instagram or other social media. The ratio I usually use for Instagram is 4:5 or 1:1. So you type that up on the bar when you select the crop tool. In this particular picture, I'm using the ratio 4:5. Alright, next up we're going to hit filter and go to blur and go to Gaussian blur, and you're going to want to mess around with the radius. It's all up to you and what your picture looks like. For mine, I stayed under 3 because I thought that's what looked good. I don't want to make it too blurry, but I do want to keep my Sim in, like, I want my Sim to be focused and I want to add more dimension to this picture. Alright, now I'm going to press B to select my brush tool, and I'm going to choose a deep color that resembles the color of dried blood almost, or like a blood stain. And I'm going to show you guys how to load brushes. The website that I use to get my brushes is called Brush Easy. They have a lot of free brush sets, and in this video I'm going to be using the blood splatter ones, and I've linked them below in the description box if you guys want to use them. They're free, and it's up to you if you want to make a donation to the creator. So you're going to find them in the bottom of your brushes list. You're going to want to create a new layer, and make sure that you create a new layer and you do not draw on the Sim, like the actual Sims dress. So on the new layer, you can manipulate the opacity and the settings. As you can see, the first layer I had it on overlay, but with this layer I'm going to select linear burn because I feel that filter really brings out the dried blood stain effect that I'm going for. I'm just going up and down on the filters to show you what each one of them does, and this one is the best. I also messed around with the opacity so I can make it look more realistic. I mean, if you want to go even harder and make it even more realistic, you could press Ctrl or Control T and right click and click warp to like warp it around the fabric, but I think that's just a little too extra right now, and I want this to be a quick edit, so I just messed around the opacity. And again, I'm going back in with the blur tool on the edges, because as you can see, the green screen is kind of still showing up here now that it's clashing against the dark background, so I want to get rid of that. And I do that for the entire outline of the image. I also go in with, extra details like adding more shadows or adding more highlights, or just, zooming in, seeing what could be better, what could be perfected, and all of that. Here I'm erasing any blood splatter that happened to get outside of the dress. I'm erasing it, just trying to keep it on the dress so it looks like, she murdered someone and she got her dress all bloody. Yeah, so let's see. I'm going in. There's a lot of really cool brushes. There's a lot of selections. There's a lot to choose from. You can choose whatever one looks good for you. Yeah, that person in the mirror like freaked me out. This was so hard to edit with that like reflection staring at me, but I managed. I managed. Alright, so after I finish with the blood splatter on the top part of the dress, I'm going to import a knife file that I have because I want her to look like she's actually holding a knife. So again, click File, Place, and download an image from Google or whatever, and I'm going to position it the way that I want. Don't forget to hold your Shift key while doing this. If you don't, it's going to warp your knife. It's going to look weird, so make sure you're pressing down on Shift while you're adjusting the size of the knife or whatever you place. And so here, this is a bit tricky. I don't know how to explain it, so I hope I can explain it so it makes sense. You're going to want to hide the image of the knife, and you're going to press M to select the marquise tool and select the hand, make a copy to a new layer. All right, that way we can make it look like we want to hide the handle of the knife. As you can see right now, the knife is placed on top of her hand and it's hiding her thumb, so it doesn't really look realistic. We want it to look like she's actually holding onto the knife, and we're going to do that by erasing a part of the knife while it's like sandwiched between the two layers of the hand. That's like the best way I can explain it. Make a layer copy of the hand and sandwich the knife between it, and then you can lower the opacity of the knife to see where her fingers are and what you want it to look like. So doing this way, it doesn't look good, so I did Control Z on that and decided that I need to erase just the thumb so it looks like the thumb is around the handle of the knife. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I'm sorry if my audio is confusing. If I'm confusing, just focus on what I'm doing and don't listen to me, because I was just thinking, how am I going to explain this? But yeah, sandwich it between the hands, guys. Just sandwich it. That's what it looks like. We just erased part of the knife. I don't know what that little thing is on the hand. I think it was there, but I'm going to go in and fix that later with the stamp tool, because that looks weird. Yeah. Anyways, there, it's gone. So, yep, here we go. Now it looks like she's actually holding onto the handle of the knife and it's not just like stuck on her hand. And now, you guessed it, once again, going back in with the blur tool to blur out the edges, especially if they're looking pixelated or low quality. Blurring them out really does help, and it helps everything just blend together. Alright, next up that is really important is go to Image, Adjustments, and go down to Photo Filter. I use this a lot. It is so useful to make your sim blend in with the background. So sometimes the background can have more warmer tones or more cooler tones. So as you can see, this background is like a warmer kind of tone. It's dark and warm. So I'm going to make sure that my sim fits the same like with the background. So I'm going to select the warming filter. So now we're going to merge together all the layers, the knife layer, the blood stain. We want to merge them all together with our sim, and to do that, you're going to press Control to select all the files and Control E to merge them together. As you can see, now we have one file of our sim with the knife and everything all selected together. You can adjust your sim by pressing Control T, and that will bring up the transform selection tool. Make sure you're always pressing down Shift if you want to make it bigger or smaller. And I'm also going to adjust the brightness and contrast. Everything I do is to make sure that my sim blends in with the background and doesn't look fake. I want to make it look as realistic as possible. So mess around with the brightness and contrast depending on whatever background you decide to choose. And in this next part, I'm going to show you guys a really cool filter, easy filter that you can do. So what you're going to want to do first is merge down your sim, combine it with the background, and you're going to want to make a copy of this background. The second copy, you're going to want to make it black and white, and you can do that by going to the adjustments, and I will make it the darkest black and white. Now what you're going to do is go up to the opacity, and you can make it lower or higher, and it's going to look super cool and give it like this dramatic, dark sort of feel to the image. You can also mess around with the filter settings, see what you like, overlay or just normal. It's all up to you. It's all up to your preferences, but this is what I came up with. This is the end result. I hope I was able to teach you guys something new. The reflection in the mirror was freaking me out while editing this, but it was really fun. Let me know if I should make more how-to videos in the future, and as always, thanks for watching and thanks for the support. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!